Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss book 24 in R.L. Stine's Goosebumps original series, Phantom of the Auditorium. Came out October 94. So this is a very used book from somebody. No name in it, no school, like elementary school, like some of my other previous used books. But this is like very folded. And like, this is a kid who didn't use a bookmark. All right? Like I made my own Goosebumps bookmark. I showed this a while ago. But I use a bookmark for books. Some people who are monsters fold the pages to mark like where they are. So like when you look at the sides, you can see like how far up, and then like when the kid stopped, like he bookmarked it, or they bookmarked it. Here they bookmarked it, as in dog-eared it, and I was like, oh bro, no. But as I'm reading this, I'm like, there's a giant slit in the cover, and I'm like, oh my goodness, someone literally stabbed this book. And the stab goes through all the way up to page 17. That's when the stabbing ends, which is technically chapter 4, page 17. Why would someone stab this book? What did this book do to you? I am so sorry for your loss. It's a cute story. It brings into one of my favorite Goosebumps tropes of ghosts are real, in the sense of you can touch them, they can do stuff, they can pick stuff up, and you don't know they're real you don't know they're a ghost until they're, you know, the reveal at the end. So, like, were you that terrified of this ghost that you stabbed the book and you were a monster and you folded the pages and... Okay, I digress. So, I finished this within a day and a half. Very super fast. Very, very convenient I head off. And that's the thing that's interesting. Work hinders you from doing the things you want to do. It's funny how that works. So now, knowing that I can read a full Goosebumps book within a day and a half, my record was 2 days, but now I'm at a day and a half. So we'll see what happens on my next full day off, where I can actually sit and do things. So this, great, fast, gives you the backstory, gives you the reveal at the end, but I have a problem with the cover. This is the thing. We've talked about this. And because I have a problem with the cover, that means I also have a problem with the musical, the Goosebumps musical, which is called Phantom of the Auditorium. There's literally a musical that's been touring called Phantom of the Auditorium, and the logo is very similar to the Phantom represented here with this white mask over their face, right? Black cape, fine. Gloved hands, fine. Referenced within this, fine. There is no reference of a white mask covering just part of the face. It's a blue and green mask that is a full mask that goes over somebody's head, and you just see their eyes. There's no reference of a white mask on the cover. Doesn't make sense. And then in the logo and cover art within the Goosebumps, the musical Phantom of the Auditorium, it's a white mask. Makes no sense. There is no mention of a white mask in this book. Drives me nuts. Use the source material. If you're going to adapt something, use the source material. That's just a general rule of thumb in regards to source material. We've talked about my irks with The Walking Dead for quite some time. Use the source material. Don't have it loosely based on, kind of sort of inspired by. No. If you're doing an adaptation of something, use the source material. If a character has, you know, certain traits about them, certain characteristics, things of that nature, use the source material. If you're talking about a specific plot point, use the source material. When a character's ethnicity is changed and it has nothing to do with the plot and or story of the project, that's not a thing we have to worry about. That doesn't affect the story. But when you have certain visual representations within, not character development, certain visual representations within prop and or costuming, we'll do that, an iconic thing, right? Use the thing. What if they made Lord of the Rings and never made a ring? They made it a beret. No. I'm venting. Anyway, so Brooke and Zeke, best friends of middle school. They do theater, and the theater production that they're doing in middle school this year is called The Phantom, which is just a play. It's not a musical. It's just a play. And The Phantom has never been done at the school. School's been around for 70-something years. Girl who goes to school with them, her great-grandfather was one of the original students at the school when it was built in the 20s. There was only like 20-something kids there. So this book takes place in the 90s. So 70 years prior, obviously, is the 1920s. So getting a little of the backstory, you know, why it was banned is because a kid, you know, went missing and just, there was just hauntings ever since, and nobody understood why they couldn't put on the play without these hauntings, so they just banned it completely. So then a copy was found within this vault of the school or something like that, and the drama teacher slash math teacher was saying, okay, we're going to do this now. And then the hauntings started to happen again. So why is there random, you know, this blue and green mask randomly in Brooke's locker? Why is there a can of red paint, you know, having Zeke set up in his locker? What's up with their new friend Dylan, who just randomly appeared, you know, a week into the new school year and stuff like that? So things, right? Turns out there's this homeless man who lives under the stage through a series of tunnels that goes through the school, through a trapdoor, that put these messages up, you know, let me live in my home sweet home. But then by the time the cops came, he cleared everything out and he was gone. But the Phantom then appeared at the end again. So it was originally Zeke pretending to be the Phantom, and then the Phantom actually came about and stole Zeke's role and was acting alongside character Esmeralda, aka who's actually Brooke. She's playing the character of Esmeralda for this play. And so he's giving this actual story of how he died, how he fell to his death through the trapdoor an hour before the play was supposed to happen, and then they never found him, and they couldn't, you know, put the play on. And nobody's ever allowed to do this because this is reminiscent of my death, and how dare you? So then, as the kids, you know, finish the show and everybody the audience thinks that that's actually a part of the production, they then, Brooke and Zeke then go back to their lockers to change to go to the cast party, and they find a 1920s yearbook in Brooke's locker with a, you know, ripped piece of paper out of an article about the play, and then they look at the picture of the black and white picture of the kids, and there's Brian. Bum, bum, bum. Brian was the ghost. Brian was the Phantom the whole time, but he was a tactile ghost. You could touch him. He could hold a paintbrush, and he was doing, you know, art stuff. He was painting a backdrop for the show. I really like that aspect. We've talked about that. You know, book 10, The Ghost Next Door, is my favorite out of the series as of right now, 24 books in regards to it really scared me. Goosebumps in general is very cute and whimsical and stuff like that. Some of its lore is you know, very translucent. Monster Blood is my favorite in the series, story-wise and like nostalgia-wise, but The Ghost Next Door is the true terror book. Like, that's an actual horror book. Very scary, because she was dead the whole time, and we get the death scene immediately. The first paragraph is the death scene. The room caught fire, and I screamed, and I couldn't breathe. Horrifying. But that was a good example of the tactile ghost, the very first book, you know, Welcome to the Dead House. Tactile ghost. You could touch them, you could play softball with him. We've had tactile ghosts since then, but it's neat having it continuing on, you know, 24 books later, and I still have so many more books to go. We have 62 in total. Again, the goal is to finish before Halloween. Can we do it? We got to keep plowing through them. But anyway, book 24 in Goosebumps, the original 62-book series by R.L. Stine, The Phantom and the Auditorium. Loved it. Very quick. Read it in a day and a half, conveniently because I had off. But no white mask. It should be a blue and green mask. Blue and green has been my staple colors for close to 2 decades. It should not be a white mask. It's just something that's always going to annoy me. And I don't know, bro. I don't know. What if the Percy Jackson TV series is coming out on Disney Plus in 2024, what if they changed the lightning bolt? What if they made them ballet shoes, right? What if they made the lightning bolt ballet shoes that Luke Castellan stole Zeus's ballet shoes and hid them in Percy's backpack the entire time? And that was the whole thing, that the lightning thief is really all about ballet slippers. There would be riots in the streets. You can't change a prop that's focal point to a production's storyline. No. That's it. I end this review with that. On to the next book. Let's hope there's no discrepancy within the cover art. Mucho mahalo.